Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you your weekly market update. What a week. My goodness. I pulled a cold foil husk. First edition cold foil. I mean, it's cold foil, so of course it's first edition, but a husk. That was amazing. I really enjoyed that. It's in a video from yesterday if you want to see it. I do talk a lot about the market in that video, so if you're listening to this and this is the one thing you listen to because you like the market stuff, you might want to hop over and listen to that one too. Just put it on in the background. Talk a lot about the market space we're in. I will do that here as well and dive into some details with specific boxes, which is what we do here. But let's go ahead and jump in, and as I think of things, I'll just ramble on them a little bit. It was definitely a rambling one yesterday. Haven't done that in a long time. People seem to like it. I will get back to that as I have more stuff to open. You can always join the Patreon, and if you want, buy a box. If you want to come up with a solution where it doesn't cost as much, because in these times I fully understand that. Maybe we can come up with a way to offer slots for, a third of the box, especially with Uprising. We were talking about that in the last video, doing it by the classes. We can do, various things. So if you're interested in that, leave a comment. We will make that work. I do enjoy opening stuff for you guys, and it seems like it's kind of a hit to hear me ramble about the market. So I do like this formulaic approach. This is a little bit more data science heavy, a little bit more analytical, and a little bit less just my opinions, which opinions can be wrong. Opinions can change with emotion, and I'd rather rely on consistent data that just continues to tell a story over time and look at that instead of making up stuff that's off my gut, which is what I do with those rambles. But it's not always wrong, but I notice that sometimes I'm inconsistent. I'll say one thing and then 3 weeks later I say something that's the opposite, and I feel like that's giving bad information or not being fully honest with everyone. I don't want to do that. The data can't lie. I can accidentally lie, and I don't like that. So, anyways, let's jump into the data. Speaking of, so last week, as you remember, it was a winter chill. Oof, it was so bad. Everything was cooling off. We had a lot of double-digit drops. This week, very quiet. I'm actually a little surprised. Is cardboard like a preamble to the larger markets? I don't know. Are you paying attention out there? The S&P and the Dow crashed over the past week or so several times. Really big drops. Crypto crashed quite a bit over the last week. And we did get a rally today on the Fed minutes and notes and the 75 basis point increase. I guess that's because it's supposed to cool off the inflation, which is probably a good thing to do at this stage. It's costing too many Americans on basic goods, and so they're trying to cool that off. And the market seemed to react positively to it because we got a lot of gains at the end of the day. And this is kind of getting off topic, but it is a factor and it does tie to all this stuff. So I do want to talk about it a little bit. We had a lot of gains after the minutes came out, or not the minutes, the announcement came out. They did go into further meeting. I haven't actually seen the latest on the meeting, but I'm sure it wasn't too bad based on the crypto market is still kind of climbing from that early rally. So I think that's a great thing about crypto. It's a 24-hour market. If something happens, the market's reflected immediately, and you have the ability to be liquid and act immediately versus equities, which you have to wait for trading hours. And if you're a big broker, you get kind of special trading hours, so you get advantage. I prefer fair, even market. It's the most accurate. It's how they should be, if you ask me. It's how every capitalist will say it should be. It's how everyone that believes in capital markets would say it should be, except none of them do it, except in crypto. Kind of ironic. So anyways, let's jump into this stuff a little bit. So yeah, nothing is going on. I do wonder if we can use cardboard. Actually, I'm going to mark this as gold as a marker to remember this day by. Because last week... Oh, wait, did it not work? Last week, there we go. Last week, we had a crash in cardboard, we'll say, crash in Fab sealed, which preceded this week's crash. So maybe it's a leading indicator. This is mostly tongue-in-cheek, but I'm gonna take a note and see if we see it again, if we get a further leading indicator in cardboard crashing before markets crash. Maybe I'll go back on some of this historic data like this week and see how the markets fared that week. It would be interesting to see if cardboard does actually lead stuff just because of retail. It's possible. I mean, anything's possible when it comes to data. I don't think it will be directly correlated, but it might be something worth digging into, see what the beta is there. Anyways, let's jump into the actual cardboard. Basically, Monarch is bouncing up 2 weeks in a row, still hot. That's Monarch Unlimited per box, 7% gain this week. It was over 5% last week. I'm not going to get too excited about this. I think this is everyone chasing those rainbow foil footsteps, which are still selling pretty well, but I guess they do work with Dromai. I've played several Dromai players. They do use it to pitch one, to create an ash, and block one, which is quite good against the ninja who swings for one frequently, right? So it's not terrible, right? It still works. I guess they're useful there, and then I don't really understand it against Icelander. Not much use there. But hey, if people want it, who am I to argue with the market? Not. I'm not the right person to argue with the market. Point being, it's up to $67 a box on Unlimited. Nothing crazy here. Preamble, I should have said in the beginning. We are a day before. I am doing this in the evening of Wednesday, the 15th. This will come out on Thursday in the morning. So if anything changes overnight, again, apologies for that. It's just my work schedule and how things are going. Actually, I have a pretty big pitch tomorrow, so I need to be focused on work. Tales of Aria dropped further. We had to heat up back here, down to 63. I still say this is medium. We'll look at the chart, but 63 when we had 52 a month ago, it dropped a little bit. It's still doing its little, trying to do price discovery here, mostly flatlining. Everything else is flat. Look at this. Unlimited cases, nothing moved. A little bit of gain on Monarch. Again, I think it's the footsteps causing it. Let's get down to these guys. First edition, same price, flat. Arc down a little bit, 3%. So this one I was watching before. I'm going to keep an eye on it. When this number starts to decrease, and we'll look at the chart and I'll show you what I mean, but when this number starts to decrease less, so it'll be like a rounded bottom on the chart, that's when I'll start to think about getting in. I might strike at that point, might strike a little earlier because you can't time a perfect bottom. It's just one of those things, week by week indicators. That's a really good price for this product. So I am interested in it. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it's only worth a third of this. I don't see how, in my mind, first edition, such a limited print, I don't see how, other than just people not having liquid capital, which is something that's going to happen. We'll talk about that a little bit. So look out for those deals. I think there's going to be a lot of deals in the coming weeks and months. Don't go all in. Don't go ham. Don't leverage your house. Don't use credit cards you can't pay back. Right? Use the cash you have that's spare cash. Use cash that you can afford to lose, right? This is just what they say about any crypto investment. Don't put any money in that you can't afford to lose because it could disappear, right? Same with cardboard. Don't put money in that you can't afford to lose unless it's like your entertainment budget. Well, I mean, if it's your entertainment budget, you can afford to lose it, right? So that's the idea. So you don't want to put money in like crazy. But that said, good deals are coming and are getting here now, and I think Arc First Edition is definitely going to be one of them. This one maybe too, and we'll talk about it in a second. I've mentioned it in some of the other videos in the podcast, I think, if you listen, so we'll talk about that in just a second. So Monarch's down 10% for First Edition, 122. A box sold for 111. I actually went and picked up a box at 120. This is really low to me. Cold foils are running like 180 for the husk, 360 I think for the footsteps. The cold foil ones. It's the pricey stuff is good. In Monarch, the commonality of legendaries was pretty solid, like one a case, give or take. So you have a pretty good shot with Monarch. It's something to keep an eye on and think about. I'm not too worried about it. Like, it's not something that I need to go out and buy a ton of it. Obviously, there's a ton out there, so this could slip further. I don't know how far down it goes. Does it get to 80? Okay, I'll buy some down there too. Like, that's fine. But I'm not rushing on this one. The Arcane, when it hits the right price, I'm gonna keep moving. Like, I'm gonna move on that one because I can't imagine this staying there that long. The Mon, it can stay low for longer than I can stay solvent, right? The old classic market adage. And frankly, There's just a lot out there that hasn't been open, and it will take a long time to filter through that. So a couple of years before those start going up. I'm a patient man, so I don't mind at these sort of bottom prices. I'll buy what makes sense to fit on the shelf, and I'll sit on them for 5 years and then sell them then, and they'll probably go up. Or crack them like I did yesterday on a spur and get something that pays for the box plus some. So, it's fun. It is a fun game to play. It is something that's worthwhile sometimes, but it is gambling. Like cracking the box is just a lottery ticket at that point, which is not smart investing. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not here to advise you. I am just talking about cardboard because I love cardboard. All right, going on to first edition cases. So this is the one we need to talk about. You see this? Same price on TCG Player Forever. None of them have moved. I think only one's for sale at this price, right? Well, unfortunately, we have another data point. I'm not going to add it to this because I want to stay consistent on my data, but this is important for those of you that watch this. This is the kind of information you need. This is on the site PWCC. It's I guess a secondary auctionary site. I'm not really sure. I ran across it on Facebook. Like I always tell you, go to Facebook and Discords to find these deals for the first edition old stuff. Well, I saw WTR was on Facebook linking to this PWCC site. That's insane to sell first edition WTR for $10,000. That is really low. I mean, that is lower than our TCG price. Almost 50. I mean, it's almost half the price. It's a little bit less, obviously, but if you average these out, it's like about half the price of what ARC is stated for. Now, again, stated for in TCG Player isn't real because there's no sales. So until you see a market sale, you don't actually have a market data point. We use TCG Player because it's a heck of a lot easier to do the data. And for most things that are relatively liquid and moving, it's right. It's just this higher end stuff. It's not because there's no volume, right? So this is one example. There's another one that sold at 11.5 on the same site, apparently by the same seller. The Facebook post mentioned that the other one had sold. Check this out. It's being reduced to kind of sell faster. So 11.5. Then they had it at 10.5. I was checking because it tells you, it gave you an error if you make an offer that's too low, because it's like it's kind of like eBay where you can buy it at this price or make an offer. If you make an offer too low, the error message pops up. So I kept going down by $1 until I found how low they would accept. They had 10.5. Clearly, no one bought it at that price, and within 2 hours it had disappeared. I guess they dropped it down to 10K, and offer came through, and it was sold. I may have bought it for 10K. This is definitely a good price for this box. And I do have liquid capital on the side, but I really want to save that for equity and crypto crashes that are coming. And theoretically, cardboard will crash too, so we'll see some old school Magic and whatever get really reasonable, and I want to have capital set aside for it. Spending it all in one case, despite the fact that this is the one case I don't have, it's hard. That's a hard decision. I didn't go for it. I didn't pull the trigger. When I looked, it was 10.5, and I was like, not worth it. 10K is like kind of right at that sweet spot where it's time to think, yeah, probably worth it. But point being, this is a data point, something to realize. This does reset the market a little bit, because if this is worth that, then that means your Fable from this set is worth X times this, right? And then you can go down the chain from there on basically everything. It also means first edition boxes are worth, call it 2,000 a piece based on this sale, because you have a gambler's premium for being sealed, or a sealed premium. So that would be 4 boxes is 8,000 and the premium's 2,000, right? A single box. I'm making these numbers up a little bit, but that's kind of a thought process. Call it 2,500 if you want. So it's like equal to 4 individual boxes, which totally isn't. It's a sealed case. It should have more value than that. But going at 10K is really low. You don't see this often. Somebody wanted capital and they didn't care, how little it went for. It's a little sad to see it go that low, but somebody got a steal, and I really don't think this should be representative of the market, but it's a data point people need to be aware of. The high-end stuff is selling very low. There's not a lot of demand for the high-end stuff right now. So something to keep in mind. Let's continue on. So I did mark Crew, because I'm going to start doing this honorable mention, because I do the heat and cold, right? But if it's like 4%, I don't mark it. So I'm going to highlight them when they're close, but not quite enough to get colored. Oh, I should probably put some sort of indicator because it doesn't say if it's above or lower. Oh, I can do that. I can just look at the one that went lower, right? So I'll bold it when it's 4%. We'll use that to help track data. Maybe I'll go back and do it on the other ones. Probably not. It seems like a lot of work. But Crew is down is what it boils down to. Another fun one to open. I like it, and that seems like a really good price for a case, right? I think the boxes go for 500. Yeah, 530, right? So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's barely a premium. Not getting an arbitrage opportunity, but it's barely a premium. Um, Anyways, other ones barely touched. Nothing strange there. Note uprising cases did drift a little bit lower from last week, which was a markable drop, right? So we're still going lower, and we're not at release date yet. Very interested to see how that goes and what this market will look like for this new Fab 2.0 thing. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I might have to do separate charts. I know I said I'd add them, but because they're not going to have an unlimited, and I kind of want to track them separately, like let's see what Uprising did, let's see what the set after it does, anything that's in 2.0. But they've changed the way the prints have been done so many times that I'm not 100% sure I want to do that. I'll think about it. I'll probably just add to the current charts, and if they do something different, then we'll revisit. I did want to talk about, how I like to point out some singles. This time I did something different. I should have been doing this the whole time, I'll be honest with you. I just went to best selling. This is kind of like by volume. Obviously, these are the things that are selling. So this is interesting. Storm Stripes, right? I have no idea why Shiana is selling. Like, I don't understand that. If anyone knows in the comment, maybe because this is a really low price, 74 is really low for her. If anyone knows why Shiana is selling Rainbow Foil, let me know in the comments. I don't get that one. Is there something special about the stuff that's coming out that makes her good? Specializations? Yeah, there's some cool specialization. Maybe there's specialization tech that makes her awesome now. I don't know. I never really fully understood that card. Obviously, the Footsteps at 230, so they've come back down a little bit. I think by $5, so a little more reasonable. They were at like 170 before the Dromai release, so still high, still elevated. Again, people are finding use for them, so I was wrong when I said it makes no sense. It doesn't work with the dragons. That part's true. It doesn't work with the dragons, but it works well enough with Ash to pay this one to give it a one block that people still want to run it in the list, which after seeing it in play, I get it. I was wrong. So just admitting that straight out. There's value there. I don't think it's that much of a premium, but hey, who am I to say what the market should be doing? Mask, obvious. This is actually back to where it was before the announcements, I believe. I went and looked at the history, and I'm pretty sure it was like 165 or something like that before the announcement of the Ninja Fi. So I think this has cooled off back to its previous thing. E-Strike is always popular, so I think it's just E-Strike for E-Strike's sake. Good lower price, though. I think the white border cards are having a good impact. Last time I paid close attention to E-Strike, it was like 50 or $60. So $26 to me looks like a steal. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's been there for a while. I don't follow E-Strike that close. Command and Conquer is now down 71. Again, this one goes really well to block out your illusionist stuff. I think that's the main reason people run it, although Erase Face is a very good alternative or also run, right? Because that one turns off all your abilities. So anything that says Draconic ability basically is killed, so anything Phi, it's a 6, so it kills illusions. Anything that says turn on your dragons, those types are lost. So no go again, and for Dromai, and Icelanders fuse and stuff like that all turn off too. So that's Erase Face. It's similar to this. I think it's a 2 for 6 3 block, and the on hit is what I just described. It turns off talents, card types, and something else. But basically, it shuts down your next turn if it hits. So it's very similar to Command and Conquer card. Kind of a little bit better, I think. One of our players in the Discord turned me onto that, showed me that, and thank you for that. I'm not going to call your name out. But I do agree, now that I've thought about it. This one's interesting. Skullbone Cross Wraps. It means Lexi's got to be in the meta, right? Still a very reasonable price. Right? That means this is Lexi, right? Anyone else? Anyone? Bueller? All right, let me know what you think in the comments. And then obviously the new stuff pre-orders are going. Tome of Fangdale is always popular, very cheap price. Probably works well with one of the decks. And then Valiant Dynamo, I think this is probably around the builds that we're seeing in Dorinthia regarding the new Classic Battles cards. I've seen it played a few times in CC. It is very good. I don't know if it's like top tier competitive good, but that's probably what's driving this, and it's something worth keeping an eye on if you're a Warrior fan. Anyways, let's get to the charts. This is going a lot longer. Like I said, I'm not in a rush, so this will probably happen when I do it in the evenings. So Unlimited, pretty boring. Nothing with WTR as we talked about until we look at, this. It does dip. This is kind of that curve, that bottoming out I'm talking about. See how it's like a fast rate of descent and then a slower rate of descent, and then it'll flatline next. If that's how it goes, that's kind of your bottom indicator. It's a good time to start purchasing slowly, not going crazy, because it can always dip down further. But if you're DCAing a product, that's a good time to start looking at DCAing. WTR is generally boring, but it is down right now. So if you need WTR, go grab it. I imagine it will stay down for a while. Seems there's plenty of supply. ARK has been a fun case study. By the case, we are lower than we have been. You can see this decline, but we are stabilizing. So here's a good one, right? Fast, slower, dead, right? This is that time, and this is Unlimited. ARK Unlimited cases are kind of at that bottom. Now, doesn't mean they can't go down again. It definitely can, but it does show. Well, actually, here's a good example. Went down, came back up, and kept going down, right? It can happen, right? So this doesn't mean it's it, but if you stay flat for a while, it means there's no downward pressure, there's no upward pressure, right? It's kind of the boring time. The boring times are when you want to buy, boring bottoms, right? And that's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I sling cardboard and talk to YouTube for fun, okay? Let's see here. We're out of the arbitrage opportunity. We had it. No, we didn't have it last week. It was broken last week. So, we're kind of at the premium coming back. This is on the boxes and then case divided by 4. Again, for ARK. Go ahead and move on, because that's nothing interesting. Crew, what in the world is this, right? No. Something broke on my chart. Something broke. 319. No, something broke. It was... okay, no, it's right. It's just the scale's jacked up because nothing has happened for so long. I'm going to have to take a look at this. It was working on the other one, so it's probably fine, but I don't understand why it's so dramatic, like why the scale's messed up. If you notice, like 16 and 17, look how dramatic that is, that $1 move. So what happened is it went from 16 to 19. Ooh, it's like off the charts. Basically, it went back, reverted to its mean. We had a little dip for a few weeks. That was your time to buy, I suppose. I wouldn't have called it based on the way that looks, but hey, you never know. This is a crew case, again, Unlimited. It's weird looking, though. I gotta see if there's a way to force that scaling to work better. Here we go. We're back to premium on the boxes. So, 72 a box, or you can buy case. And divided by 4, and that's 79. So it's a couple bucks extra per box in case. Oh no, and not in value. Yeah, you're paying more for the case, which makes sense because it's the case premium. Sorry, getting that mixed up. The parity thing. Monarch, like we said, drifting down. Nothing special. This is the Unlimited, and then box prices drifting up. I guess people want to crack and see if they can get them footsteps. Let's move on. Tales of Aria, kind of that middle thing, like I said. It's kind of flat, going across similar. Same with the boxes, 63, dip back down, but kind of that median, just kind of sitting flat, which is fine. It's actually pretty good for a set that's so recent. All right, no AVR. I do that every time, don't I? Anyways, first edition. Let's not start with Everfest, let's start with WTR. All right, boring, does nothing, and a lie because we know it sold for 10K. These are down, drifting down, flatlining. This is not the curve I'm talking about. I know it's similar in description, like it went down, it slowed down, and then it went flat. But because it's so flat the whole time, this is pretty much just a line, a slow drift down line. That's how you generally think about it when you're analyzing a chart like this. So it is a good example of the slowing down. You can see the rate of change reducing and then flatlining, but still worth keeping an eye on because I think these prices may come down as the market kind of catches up with some of these sales. But, I don't know, only if you want WTR first edition, and I don't recommend getting it to crack it. Although I will say, mentioned this before in the other video. I have been picking up rainbow foil first editions of the first 3 sets wherever I can. Some of them are relatively affordable. A lot of them are not anymore. But because there's such a limited supply, you can buy one for like 20 bucks and then the next one for sale is like 70, right? So sometimes you can get a deal. You do have to watch out for it. You got to watch for someone either desperate selling on eBay or otherwise, or like a collection sale, things like that, where people just really want to get rid of their stuff. I think we'll see that because capital is going to be tight for some people, and this is an asset they have, and they need to liquidate it. So if you are on the lookout for deals, you will probably get some over the next few months because that's just how these things go when markets get tight and things like that, right? Don't buy this stuff on speculation unless you're in a good financial position, stable job, etc., right? Take care of your life and your family first. That's the most important thing. All right, ARK, case, all fake data. Don't trust it. Don't like it. Premium, obviously spiked with that BS data. While the real data of actual, because I believe these are being sold. I should look at volume for ARK, but I think these are real actual sales in general. 1550. I'll double check, but I've seen some ARK moving in other places, so I'm pretty sure it's probably moving on TCG Player, and it's where I'll buy it when it hits the right price. Now this chart is not helpful, like I said before, so I'm gonna have to do this on a kind of a mental math basis because it's so slowly declining. These are the tricky ones. These are the ones where you can find a really good deal because you forgot what this price was, 3 months ago. And you forgot that it used to be, 2000 and now it's all the way at 1550. That represents a pretty good discount. Hits 1500. Now you're talking like 25% discount off market price that historic held rock solid. Start to think about it, it becomes interesting. So that's where I'm at with it, and I will keep an eye on that and probably pick up 1 or 2. I also don't have one in a Plexi case. I do for WTR, and I'd like to get an ARK first edition for a Plexi case, which is my main reason for looking out for that. Anyways, moving on to Crew. Crew sliding down, as we said, by the case. Getting pretty attractive here, I would say. And we'll see how this goes. Hopefully we get a nice round bottom. That would be a good time to buy. Maybe it's down at like 2,000. I could see picking that up. A case of Crew for 2,000 seems pretty good. Box prices also falling as well. Seems like it's just staying in parity quite well. Seems reasonable. Crew is pretty low print. Obviously not as low as the other ones, but much more limited than the later sets. So I think it's reasonable to keep an eye on those for collector's sake. I think the later sets, as we talked about, good if you want the cards, good if you want to try to sell and flip singles, okay to have just as a collector thing for a long-term hold. Generally, you're not going to be able to flip them anytime soon. There's so much product out there. They really don't, I don't think, want them off the shelves anytime soon, right? That's kind of the plan because there's 3 sets that are most recent. I guess with this next kind of 7, 8, 9 kind of deal, maybe at that point Mon can go away, but there's so much out there it won't. I think those 6 sets stay on it. I think it's a lot like Magic where you see at least 3 to 4 sets still on the shelf in most shops, if not more. So I think that's the plan. I think that's the goal. I think they're going to succeed at that. And I honestly think it's kind of good because wouldn't it suck if we get this new Illusionist and you can't get Mon Illusionist cards anymore? Now, I know she doesn't use too many of them. She uses a few, but she didn't use too many of them. But I actually fully expect us to get a Mira sometime in the next set or two. And wouldn't it suck if you couldn't get any of the Mon cards because it just wasn't available because they hadn't printed enough? I think we're kind of okay. They're thinking about it long term. They always have. I know people were upset. I know the distribution thing was a mess. Like, I 100% agree with that. But I think this is kind of a good thing for the health of the game, playability of the game, which they obviously care about a lot, and generally speaking, how things go. So here's one of those loops, or bottoms I was talking about, right? Fall off, slow down, and then it's starting to go back up. This is typically where I buy with a new Magic set. So I'll watch the price as it's coming down. Usually it's a couple more weeks. It takes a little longer to do it. It'll come down, usually fast, slow down, and then go real slow, a little bit lower, and then it flatlines, and it starts ticking up. Right when that ticks up, the week it ticks up, that's when I usually buy. So, Mon by the case, 535. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll buy a case of Mon. Do I really need a case of first edition Mon? Probably not. But that is definitely looking like a bottom from a chart analysis standpoint. So this is when I like to buy, so it's really hard to say no to that. Anyways, look at this. I'm just like, oh, the chart says I have to buy. You can tell how I think about things. Anyways, so box case parity, we're back into premium territory. So no more um, arbitrage opportunity as we had a few weeks ago. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words here, thinking about buying Monarch cases. It's silly. Everyone hates it, but that's kind of a good time to buy, right? When everyone hates something, when everyone's like, this is crap and garbage, that's kind of the best time to buy. Not recommending you go buy Monarch. Not recommending you speculate on it flipping. It's not going to be a fast 10 days thing, right? It's going to be slow. But I kind of like it. I like where it's at. Because I am a patient person. Anyone ever hear the story of me being in crypto for 10 years? That is some patience through volatility. Let me tell you, it takes a certain mentality, and I don't think most people can do it. I somehow have that mentality. Not trying to say I'm special, it's just I'm broken that way. It's just the way my mind works, and it worked. And yeah, 10 years, a 2 year dead market, 14 and 15. Oh my God, it was the most boring period. And I bought so much during that every week, every month, whatever, whenever I could, what I could throw away. I put into it, and it worked out really well. If you look at prices 14, 15 up until now. So Tales of Aria, kind of sideways, like we said, price discovery mode. The cases are a bit messy. We're drifting down on the boxes, and the premium is well stuck, which is kind of interesting. That means people, the way I look at this is people actually do respect the cases. I kind of wondered about that because everyone's print to oblivion, right? Not so much, right? This is what it looks like when you don't respect the cases. They're right on top of each other. Like the case is as good as 4 boxes, right? They're respecting the cases. So maybe we're at the collector phase now. Is it old enough? We'll find out. Let's see how this plays out because this is kind of closer to the 2.0 style, right? Because there's just a lot of them. This may inform how this new Uprising set ends up playing. So I want to keep an eye on that. And then Everfest. I still love Everfest. I know people are like, I'm over it or whatever, and didn't like the way the boxes were. Well, no, that's not true. People liked the way the boxes were. They just, I think, just weren't feeling it from a collectible standpoint. I just like it. I like it a lot. Anyways, prices are reflecting exactly that. They're dropping. Obviously, most people have the cards. Obviously, there's plenty of product out there. I think that's a good thing. I hope it stays out there for 2 years because it's a good set. Very much helps you get into all the classes. I think it's kind of like your I don't know what I want to play box to buy, right? Tell your friends buy Everfest, right? They'll get a bunch of different things. They'll feel like they got special stuff with cold foils. I imagine it will still be affordable, right? Even if they never undo or release unlimited, and they'll get every class, right? And there's good cards in there for every class. Like there's some power in there, right? I think so. Anyways, I love that set. It's going to be a favorite of mine for a long time. We are seeing this premium, although we're still in the volatility phase, early volatility phase. I don't trust this to say much, as we can see by these, price jumps and everything. So this will continue to drift down. Again, we'll look for that long curve. It'll probably be like this part. This part will be back here, and so we'll have like this and kind of a slower agitation in it, and then maybe back up. It will probably actually, especially if we hit a recession, drop down low and hit flat. But if things don't go that way, then it will change, and we'll see. So, speaking about that, for those of you who actually stayed till the end, first off, if you enjoy the content, please hit the like button, leave a comment. I know some of this is a little boring, but it is interesting to talk about for those that like to collect, who want to look at market data and that sort of thing, and I do appreciate all the feedback. Markets are getting crazy. As I said, cardboard should not be a high priority. If your life is settled and you have some spare money, that's the kind of thing you want to look at. A collectible, once you're settled financially in a downward market, is a fairly solid place to hold capital. Now, what do I mean by that? When you invest in multiple types of vehicles, so equities, crypto, a house, whatever else, right? When you invest in multiple things, you want essentially a beta coefficient. I'm going to keep it simple. You're going to want it to be different than your other assets. And what I mean is when things go bad, you want it to perform at a different rate. So as things go bad with a recession or whatever, everything will go down. But the rate of decline, if it's less than parity, then you end up with a more balanced, safer portfolio. And so what you want to do is not have every dollar in cardboard. So like I was saying before, where you're going to put in your spare extra money, well, depending on how much you have and depending on how easily you can do this, again, life comes first, all these things come first, make sure your bills are paid, don't get in debt, all this. But put maybe 1 week you put $100 into collectibles that are long term, so not just cards that you're going to play with, but like first edition rainbow foils or things that will eventually appreciate just because of rarity. $100 1 week, right? And I don't know, whatever budget works for you, $50, $20. You can definitely buy early rainbow foils. I just bought a bunch of Crew and Arc for under $20, so you can do it. Like, you can just buy one card a week. It's possible. Um, so 1 week is, say, Arc, right? Next week maybe crypto. Week after that, savings account, right? So you're diversifying where your money's going each week. And what that does by diversifying, with discipline, steadily and continually, you end up having little pools of capital in multiple places. Now, the hard part is keep track of it all. I recommend getting good at that. It's an important life skill. But once you have things in multiple places, what you'll notice is you'll forget kind of about watching it because it's just kind of sitting, like, say you have a crypto wallet or whatever. And then crypto will have this massive gain that you weren't paying attention to. And then you hear the news, hey, crypto's at this crazy price. You're like, oh, crap, this pool of money that I thought was like $3,000 that I built up over 2 years is now, $15,000. Oh, okay. So now you look at the percentages of this whole, we'll call your investment portfolio. Well, you want it to be even just as a, for example, right? You make it whatever makes sense for you and your portfolio. Again, not financial advice. Sometimes you want riskier things. Sometimes you want less riskier things. That's up to you to decide, and only you can decide, or a financial advisor. But point being, once you decide what you want your ratios to be, when they get disbalanced, you can rebalance them. So say you've had crypto, you've put it in there for 2 years, diligently and disciplined while we're in a bear market, downturn market. Prices are going to stay low and boring for a long time. Boring bottoms are the best. So putting in that, $30 a week, whatever it is, or every 3 weeks rather, whatever it is, slowly builds up. You're at 3K. Then slowly the market starts to come back and appreciate. And we'll say this is like a year from now. And I don't know how long it's going to take. No one can tell you that. But say a year from now, markets start coming back, and then crypto just takes off, right? It just gets real hot suddenly. Well, now you're up to 15K. Well, you wanted it to be about a third in the beginning. So now you can take those profits. And again, you want long-term tax implications. You want to think about these things. Those are personal decisions you need to think about. But then you take the profits, you're on the top amount, right? So say everything's gone up, I don't know, 50%, but crypto went up 200%. So you take that extra off the top, right? And you diversify it. You put it out into the other things. So then now you're talking, you got like 5K to spend on cardboard, collectible stuff that you want to hold on to. The fancy things you've been waiting for this whole time. And the prices are still low because crypto hit first, right? So you're able, with extra capital that you diligently put away, that is now expanded and ballooned, able to jump into something else you care about and are passionate about in a bigger way than you ever really thought was possible. You weren't thinking about, because you're just putting $30 every week, right? Or every 3 weeks. So suddenly you can put thousands of dollars in. Now, don't go hog wild. Don't go crazy. Do your due diligence and research, and make sure you're thinking about what you're putting it in that has long-term value, not just the latest releases rare chase card that's 3 times the value it's going to be in 3 months, right? But maybe an older card, a card that already holds value pretty solidly, that you can look at the history of it. It's been pretty good. It's not up to its highs anymore, right? Things like that. Or something that's a steady increase over time, right? That's a great way to think about it. Again, none of this is financial advice, but it is one of those things that I wanted to share with you the fun of doing this and doing it in a disciplined way, because it can be really cool where you're just like, okay, it's Sunday night, I'm going to buy crypto. You buy my $30 and you forget about it. And you just do it like a habit. You set an alarm or whatever, right? I actually have an alarm in my phone to tell me when to buy certain cryptos every week. And I do it every week. And I have for over a decade now, basically. And it's worked out really well. And doing the same thing with cardboard every week. I'm putting a little money into some of the collectible things. You get more aggressive. The darker the market gets, the more scared people get, and the more the prices are dropping. And you get less aggressive, the more hype. And this is the hard part. This is the part where it's like I'm kind of broken. You got to get opposite of what the world is. So when everyone's screaming Monarch to 1K and losing their minds and super excited, you should be afraid. When everyone's excited, get afraid. When everyone's afraid, get excited. And I say that because the past 2 weeks, I've been getting pretty excited. And you've heard it in these podcasts and this data. I'm looking, I'm like, ooh, that's looking pretty interesting. Ooh, that's looking pretty interesting. Meanwhile, the prices are declining and people are like, it's all over, it's doom and gloom. And I'm over here like, ooh, yeah. I mean, go back and listen. I've been saying it. Been getting excited because everyone's getting afraid. Now, again, this is extra money. This is kind of that sort of thought process. So with your extra money, get excited when people are afraid. When people are, excited, then you start to calm down. You start to think about moving out of things. You start to realize the top is in. And you're going to try this and you're going to hear this. And probably some 5 years from now, listening and doing this, you're going to be like, oh, that's what he meant. And because what happens is you get caught up in the hype. I know, I've done it multiple times myself, right? And you get excited and you just put more money in and then you end up losing it, or it pops, the bubble pops and things decline and you didn't make as much money as you could have if you had pulled it out systematically. So that's the strategy I like to follow with these sorts of things. And I think it's fairly good common knowledge advice. I mean, I'm not making these sayings up. They're actually from famous, professional traders like Buffett and, all the rest. Point being is that this knowledge is out there. You can find it in a lot of places, but I wanted to apply it to something I'm passionate about, which is cardboard, crypto, etc., and share it with you. And hopefully it kind of strikes some thoughts for you and makes sense for you. But like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm just slinging cardboard talking to YouTube here. So do what's right for you. Take care of your family and yourself first, obviously. That is absolutely the most important, because without them, none of this extra cash means anything, right? It just doesn't. It really is not that big of a thing when it comes to family and what's important in life. And money is not the most important thing in life. I know it feels like it is sometimes, but it definitely is not. And I've been in low situations where I'm eating ramen to survive, so I know what it's like when it's hard. And so when it's good, it is better, don't get me wrong, but it's not everything, right? Family's more important, and taking care of yourself is more important. So do that first. Don't go crazy trying to chase a buck. I hope you guys are having a good time. I really hope you're excited about Uprising, because I am super hyped about it. I love playing this set. I've played quite a few games now with my group in the Discord. Speaking of, you want to join the Discord, join us on Patreon. I think the price to come in is still at the VIP setting, like a couple bucks to get the Discord. So you can come join us on the Discord, play games with Tommy and I. In our group, we have a good group, many of them from the shop, some of them not in the area, a couple of them are patrons. So come in, play games with us. It would be a blast to do it. I am always looking for people to play games with, so I will be there. And Uprising's a good set to get in on. Man, I'm super hyped. I don't know about the collectability. That part I'm still uncertain about, but man, I'm excited about playing it. It's so fun. I'm just jazzed. TTS has been great the past couple days, and can't wait to crack the packs and actually get to do sealed this weekend. I'm doing it twice, so hyped. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good time, cracking packs, getting cool collectibles, enjoying things, having a good life. Don't let negativity get to you. Don't let this world and the down markets and things scare you. Be cautious, be protective of your capital, look out for your family, but try to enjoy life too. Sometimes just take a walk outside in the sun. That's all it takes. Smell the flowers, listen to the birds. That can be enough to bring happiness to your heart, and that's what's most important in life. All right, guys, have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.